No big sale, or you roll into questions. All right. Do you know which players are coming? Okay. Good morning. We welcome UConn head coach Gino Auriemma to the stage, and we will just roll right into questions for Coach.
Good morning, Gino. Joe Zone from Channel 3 Hartford. There's a lot of talk about enjoying the mission, the journey, but how do you do that when everything here is about what's next?
Well, yeah, that's the balance that you have to have. To be in the moment, understanding what the moment means, and if you get a little bit ahead of yourself and start thinking about what comes after, then you're going to struggle in the moment that you're in. So, same as actually doing a game. You try to win every possession, and you don't think about the outcome of the game. It's not a lot easier said than done, but I think being a little bit more mature, I think, does help you do that.
Emily Adams, Hartford Current. You saw this team in the Elite Eight last year. You saw them in the regular season. How different do they look right now, missing Juju, but also just compared to the team that you saw in the tournament last year?
Well, going into the tournament, based on this season, I think they grew from the experience that they had last season, from the season and our game. I think they grew from that, and you could see it. I think the pieces that they added, their young players, certainly changed the makeup of the team, and that was really evident yesterday, obviously. And yeah, we saw firsthand what it's like to play without someone who means so much to your team. We haven't been immune to a lot of that stuff over the years, and at this time of the year, as you saw last night, someone has to step up and do all the heavy lifting, and that normally would be somebody like Juju. But if you have enough good people around her, which they do, they will get a chance to stand out even more than they would have ordinarily. So that could compensate for it. So yeah, they're a different team in a positive way, and they're a different team in a negative way because of what happened.
Alexa Philippou, ESPN. Speaking of the kind of supporting cast around Juju with Kiki Iriafen, she was obviously a star in her own right at Stanford and then now at USC. How does she, wanting to play through her a little bit more, kind of change what you guys have to do, and how do you guys look to kind of slow her down?
Maybe it changes how they look, in that she gets more touches than maybe she would. But I thought in the first game when we played them in Hartford, I thought she was one of the big differences in the game because of how many times they went to her later in the game. So I think hopefully we're better equipped to deal with that than we were back then. But they can shoot the ball really, really well, and if you spend too much time on, it was a similar challenge to last night, right? You've got two things you got to deal with, and it's just a matter of at which point in the game what are you willing to give up at that point in the game. The only thing certain is that you can't play against her one-on-one, just like we couldn't play last night one-on-one against Reagan Beer. So it's going to involve a lot of people, and it's going to involve a lot of chess matches.
Maggie Benoni, CT Insider. You've long said the Elite Eight is one of the hardest games in the tournament. You know, you've had some historic battles in this round. What is it about this game in particular that makes it so difficult, especially when you know what could be next?
That's what makes it so difficult. What could be next? You know, if what was coming next wasn't that important, it wouldn't be difficult. And everybody reacts differently to it. Preparing for the game is just like preparing for any other game when it comes down to that. But I think the actual game itself, you know, you want it to be like any other NCAA tournament game, but similar to what comes next if you win Monday night, there's an added pressure that you put on yourself if you're not careful, where this shot's going to decide whether we win or lose. Well, the score's 2-2 in the first quarter. You know, it's not really. So you have to, you know, get yourself to get in that mindset, and people say, well, you know, take it one game at a time, take it one play at a time. We preach that, but in reality, you know, some players are going to rise to the occasion and some are going to shrink. It's just the nature of it.
Ryan Carci, LA Times. Kennedy Smith's first game back from injury was the earlier matchup this season in Stores. What do you see different maybe from her now, given all that time? And how does her defense maybe affect the game, especially for them?
Well, it certainly did yesterday. And a lot of times it doesn't necessarily show up on the stat sheet, you know? Yeah, they're, you know, 3 steals, that shows up on the stat sheet, but how many plays are impacted by her presence and, you know, getting a tip of a pass or, you know, anything that disrupts the other team's offense. So I think she's really, really good at that. And, you know, coming from October to now, obviously the number of games that she's played and how many of those situations she's been in, you know, you keep growing and you keep learning new things and you keep finding more ways to impact the game. And I think that's really coinciding with if Juju's not here and Kenya had not made any progress, I think they'd be way worse off. But I think those freshmen, especially her, have made so much progress that it takes a little bit of the sting out of it. And sometimes freshmen surprise you. You know, you think they're going to be the most affected, and sometimes they're the least affected by the moment. So, you know, I love her game.
Morning, Gino. Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. You've been a part of the game for a long time. You're one of the people who's really helped build it to this point. This is the time of year where the lights are the brightest, the most eyes are on the game. Do you give yourself any amount of time during this part of the season to enjoy, like, where the game has come?
I do. It's hard. It's hard not to see. You know how far it's come. Even though you're really not looking for it. You're not going around every day trying to, you know, assess the state of the game. But it is all around you. Matter of fact, I was talking to Dee Cantner yesterday before the game, and I said, our very first regional, the way we got there was there was a shot with like 1 second left that Toledo took that didn't go in, and the buzzer sounded, and one official thought it was a foul, and the other official thought time had already run out, and there's two officials, and they're at the table talking about it. There's no video, there's no third official, there's no 15 different camera angles. It's just, what did I see? What did you see? You know, she comes out of that little meeting, goes like this, game's over, and we're off to the regionals, and it's our first Final Four after that, you know. And now you look at it today, and it's a completely different game, a completely different environment. There's more people sitting here in front of me today than I saw the entire year, you know, back then. It's just the level of play, the number of people playing, the number of teams that are competing at a high level. There isn't anything that's the same. There isn't. And yeah, do I think about our impact on it, UConn's impact on it? I mean, it's hard not to, and I think that's for other people to assess what our impact has been, but I am pretty satisfied that we've had a pretty big impact on the game.
Gino. Nancy Ummer, USA Today Sports. The parallels between Paige and Juju's injuries are so similar because of the injury, who they are, all of the things. I'm wondering what kind of encouragement watching Paige's performance last night could give anyone who is, you know, worried about Juju, wondering what it's going to be like for her to come back.
I think the strength of the person that's being affected by it ultimately determines what the comeback looks like. Some people, they go into a long, deep, depressive state, and it takes them a long time to get out of it, and it sets their progress back. And others are very, very positive about it, very much attacking it like they attack the game. And I would think Juju's in that mold. And I don't know of anyone that I've coached that suffered an injury like this, that was the quality of player that we're talking about, that didn't come back better. Because that's what makes them who they are. For them, it's another challenge. It's another game to win. It's another opponent that they have to beat. And if you're a competitor, if you're somebody like Paige, somebody like Juju, or some of the other kids that, you know, that have gone through this, they come back better. They come back stronger. They come back more determined, you know, more resilient, more understanding that they can fight through things and overcome just about anything. They're tested in a way they've never been tested before. You know, it's refreshing to see them when you understand what's involved in the rehab here, how long this takes, and how many dark days there are, you know, and then to come out of it and see something like last night. Yeah, that's the thing that keeps them going those 12 months.
We have time for 2 more questions.
Hi, Gino. Sabrina Merchant, The Athletic. Jeff Mittie was saying before their Sweet 16 game that there just wasn't a lot of film on what they could watch without Juju for USC, and I'm wondering, you have about twice as much tape as he did to watch. Do you have a good sense of what you're going to see from USC, or are you still trying to figure that out?
I don't think we watch any more or any less. I do think that it's a little more unpredictable. It's less certain of certain things that you knew you were going to expect. You knew this is what this is what's going to happen at the end of the game. This is what's going to happen in the middle of the game. This is what happens at the end of the shot clock. This happens at the end of the quarters. You know, it's a little more unpredictable. But that's why you try to get conceptually what are they doing as opposed to specifically what are they doing. Because that could change. You knew it wasn't going to change before, but that could change during the course of the game, and you don't know which direction they're going to go in. You knew back then. So you can't watch film and go, oh, yeah, they're going to go here. And then the very next quarter, they're going there because there isn't a set. You know Kiki's going to be more involved. But other than that, you really don't know. So you keep the focus on us, you know. It was like that last night, you know. Conceptually, this is what they do. This is what they like to do. This is what we have to prepare for. How it happens, that's fluid. You know, the game of basketball is so fast. It's so fluid. You know, we don't have a chance to call timeout after every possession and set our offense and defense up. So you just have to be flexible. And as a coach, you just cross your fingers. That's the best strategy for coaching I've come up with.
Last question for Coach.
Hartford Current. Gino, could you talk about Ashlyn's toughness yesterday after when she got hit? She kind of bounced right back up, and also how she kept the team kind of afloat, you know, in the second quarter yesterday and going forward to Monday. What do you think she will do?
Yeah, I know that I am guilty of taking Ashlyn Shade for granted. Probably the thing I appreciate the most about her is that she's my target for everything that goes wrong on the team. And I appreciate that she doesn't hold it against me personally. I remember last year, she made a comment, every day coach tells me how bad I am, how unaware I am defensively, how I get everything wrong every time, and that he thinks I'm terrible. But I know that's just his way of saying he loves me. I mean, who won't want a player like that? I wish I had 12 of them. And I do take her for granted, but at the same time, 99 out of 100 times, I can't take her out of the game. Whether she's playing well, not playing well, whether she's scoring, not scoring, there's just something about having her in the game that makes me feel better. Until it doesn't. But I don't take her out anyway. She just gives me an opportunity to vent. But I know she's never going to back down. I know she's never going to give in to anybody. She's never going to stop competing, never going to stop, you know, trying to make a play. And it can go unnoticed until that first half yesterday when you realize she's the only one that's able to get something going. And I respect her so much because last year, you know, she was playing 30-some minutes a game and starting in last night's game. And yesterday she had as big an impact as she did last year in a different role. You know, she loves the game of basketball. She's a hell of a competitor. And I have confidence in her. I would never tell her that, but I do.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll be back with UConn student athletes in just a moment. It's Paige and Daisy. Never gets easier.
Wouldn't it be amazing if nobody asked Paige a single question?
Right. That would be great. Thank you, Gino.
Take all the steam out of it. What's up, guys? Sure can.
As far as I can tell. He's funny. Yeah, he's a good guy, I think. I don't think I'd want to be on the wrong end of that shit, but he seems. Yeah. Yeah. The water's fresh if you're interested. All right, we welcome Paige Beckers and AZ Fudd to the stage, and we'll go ahead and open it up to questions for UConn student athletes.
Good morning. This is for Paige, Joe Zone, Channel 3 Hartford. Paige, at this time of the year, how do you enjoy the journey when everything about this time of the year is what's next?
Well, good morning to you too. Just trying to stay present, stay in the moment. I think that's been an emphasis for a team, not looking to the future, not worried about the past, but trying to be the best version of ourselves every single day. And you can't win the next game if you don't win the practice ahead, the weight room session ahead, and conquer everything that's in front of you. So one day, one moment at a time.
Hi guys, Kendra Andrews, ESPN. This question is for both of you. There's not a lot of USC film without Juju on the floor, so how do you guys prepare to take on this team that will look a lot different without playing through her?
Paige.
Yeah, I think they run a lot of sets. They're going through Kiki a lot now to get buckets. She's a great player. They're still a great team, and they have great pieces. They made it to the Elite Eight for a reason. Obviously, losing a player like Juju hurts, but they're still a great team. They still got great pieces. I think they run the same sets, but for different people. So scouting that, looking at that, knowing the offense, knowing what they run, and just trying to make them as uncomfortable as possible. But they've got players that have filled the void, that have stepped up huge, and so I think it's just a matter of learning their sets and knowing other people's tendencies.
Izzy?
You did a great job answering that.
You have anything to add?
No.
Ryan Karchi, LA Times. For Paige, what do you recall about the way USC defended you back in the matchup in December, and what is it about their defense overall that makes them so tough on that end?
Yeah, their
Really good defensive team. They have great guard defense. They have great interior defense. They get out, deny, make things difficult, pressure, try to turn you over, speed you up. And so we just got to stay composed, stay playing our tempo and our pace. But they do a really good job of trying to create chaos and force turnovers and being aggressive on the defensive end, which leads to what they want to do on offense. So just knowing that and being prepared for that.
Henry Moe, Daily Trojan. Paige, can you talk specifically about what Kennedy Smith brings as an on-ball defender, and are you expecting to see a lot of that matchup, and if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, she's a great defender. You would think she is not a freshman the way she's experienced and the way she plays defense, but just her mentality, her tenacity, her length, her agility, her speed, her lateral movement. She does a really good job of anticipating as well. She has great defensive instincts. So she's a great defensive player. And so whatever, I don't know who she'll be matched up against, but she does a great job defensively.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. You both have had knee injuries, and I'm wondering if you could say what is the toughest part of the rehabilitation? And then Paige, when you have a game like last night, what kind of encouragement should that give Juju that you can go through something like this and come back not only as good as you are, but even better possibly?
What's the toughest part?
Izzy, you want to go first?
Yeah. For me, I would say the toughest part the toughest part was mentally. I think as an athlete, you know, we know how to get through the hard stuff physically. Every day in practice is hard. During the season is hard. Lifting is hard. So for me, it was mentally and just trying to be in a good place that I can, you know, find positives in this rehab process when the only thing I want to do is be on the court with my team and playing. So I think mentally was where I grew the most last year, and still now I'm still growing, still working on it. But I think that's definitely was the hardest part and where I grew the most.
Yeah, when I was coming back from my injury, I drew a lot of inspiration from my teammates, from people who came back from major injuries. Kelsey Plum, Brianna Stewart were a couple of them, and then a lot of my teammates actually had ACL injuries prior to when I had it. So just looking at them for inspiration and looking at them as a blueprint and a how-to, and knowing that what their story, their journey, and how they came back from it, and using it as inspiration to what I want to accomplish. And so just to be able, I know last year a huge part of my journey was wanting to inspire people who have gone through terrible injuries, devastating blows, that you can come back better and stronger, and nobody can write you off. Nobody can put you in a box to injury-riddled narratives, this, that, but you can break all those narratives and you can come back better than ever, mentally, physically, emotionally. So that was a huge inspiration that I drew from, and you hope to inspire as well.
Hi, this is Annie Peterson from Associated Press. This is for both of you. The UCLA players talked about working with sports psychologists, and they have a mind gym, and they center mental health and how it's helped them, especially, you know, at this point of the year. I'm wondering how much you guys rely on a sports psychologist at this time of year and how it helps your team.
Paige?
Yeah, I work with a sports psychologist. I know a lot of people on the team do, but it's just a grounding point of a person who you can go to, and there's no judgment. It's a judgment-free zone, and they can just talk to you about anything, just ease your nerves, calm you down, get you to focus on everything but what's going on in the present, and just trying to be, the best version of yourself. I know a lot of things can happen during this time, a lot of pressures, the stakes, what you're trying to accomplish. You can get caught up in that, but just I know a huge emphasis for me was staying present, staying in the moment, standing firm, in who we are as a team, who we want to be as individuals, and just not getting too caught up in anything else, but trying to be present for the team, enjoy every moment.
Izzy?
Yeah, I think talking to someone is super helpful. I know it's helped me a lot this year, and having that kind of foundation of talking to them all year has helped now being in March. I know I just have a better sense of like where I am, not getting stressed, not feeling the pressure. But I think it definitely helps just having that relationship with them. And like she said, it's a judgment-free zone. You can go to them for anything. And yeah, I would say a huge emphasis for me also is staying present this year and controlling the controllables, making sure that, in order to do what I do best is like I can't get outside of myself. So knowing what I can control, not getting upset with the things that I can't, and making sure I'm just, doing what I can.
Kevin Pelton, ESPN.com. Paige, was there anyone kind of notable that you heard from after last night's game, or that stood out after that kind of performance on the stage?
Lots of friends, lots of family. Just reaching out, offering support. Yeah, that's about it.
Let's go to Zoom for a question from Patrick Waring. Patrick?
Hey, how you doing? My question's for AZ. AZ, obviously you come from a basketball family, and you're also from the DMV. Just wanted to kind of ask you, how does both of those, how have they prepared you for success at this level?
Yeah, I think having, I think coming from a basketball family, having two parents that played and coached me growing up, I can't imagine growing up any other way. I mean, they're the reason that I am the way I am, the reason that I have my work ethic and my kind of detail-oriented mindset, and also like the reason for my shot. So I kind of thank them for everything, but I think that kind of set the foundation for me on like what to expect. Just my mindset of never settling, never getting complacent, and then being in the DMV, they've got some of the best basketball. So competing at such a high level, from when I was younger to high school, and now seeing all the people I played against in high school, still playing in March and doing well, like always supporting other DMV athletes. But I think just getting to compete at such a high level at a young age definitely helped prepare me for now.
Let's go to R. Cleveland on Zoom.
Coach always talks about how difficult the Elite Eight game is because there's so much at stake. You've had your biggest games in the Elite Eight round against Baylor, North Carolina State, USC. You scored 27 or 28 in each of those games. Do you just get up mentally for that big game because there's so much at stake?
You try not to think about the stakes or the pressure or getting to the Final Four, obviously. That's there. So you try not to think about it and just go out and play every single game the same way, like it's your last, like it's the most important 40 minutes of your life. So whatever that calls for on any given night, you just try to do that and prepare for that. But as a team, we just want the season to keep going as long as possible. So leaving nothing up to chance, giving it all, like I said, for that 40 minutes to play for another 40 is our team mindset.
We have time for one more question, and if there is one in the room.
Kevin Pelton, ESPN.com. AZ, how different do you feel kind of physically and mentally from the last time you faced USC, coming off, multiple injuries in sort of a sense?
Yeah, I feel completely different. I mean, I tried to play in our last game against USC and I just wasn't ready, and that's okay. But so yeah, I feel like a completely different player. Definitely a completely different mindset as well. But I'm super excited, and yeah, I mean, I feel I'm in a complete different place than I was then, so I'm excited to play.
All right, we'll thank the student athletes and let them go.